Payback American Express about 41,000. Friends, welcome back to the channel. Amazon FBA seems like a one-trick pony, right? You buy stuff, make money, but we know it's definitely more than that. So today we're diving into the 7 surprising skills Amazon FBA will transform you, skills that not only for business, but also you can use for your life as well. I'm talking about skills that boosted my business, that allowed me to do this full-time, after 3 years and selling over $2 million in sales. So whether you're a seasoned seller or someone that's just starting out, these are lessons that you can certainly apply. So let's get started. So number one is you gotta learn how to manage the cash flow. As you can see right here, I had to pay back American Express about 41,000. Some months it could be more than that, right? So how to manage cash flow is super important. The reason for that is Amazon is an inventory-based business. So you have cash coming in from your payouts and you have cash coming out from the inventories that you'll be purchasing. So not only that you have to maintain making sure you have inventories, but if you do want to scale the business, that's a challenge itself as well. And if you didn't know, after you make a sale, Amazon actually holds that money in reserves for about 2 weeks or so. It's not just like you get a sale, then you get the money immediately. In case the customer wanted to return it, Amazon is so smart that they're not using their own money. It's your money from making a sale. They're gonna use that to refund the customer. So that's why they hold it in reserves. So that's another layer in terms of managing the cash flow because you don't get the money immediately. So in order for me to stay on top of the cash flow and making sure my business is still running is I use a Google Sheets template to manage this cash flow. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So this is what a basic cash flow would look like for me here. And we do this every Monday, right? Just to have a habit, sometimes 2 times, 3 times during the week. It just really depends. So for example, here on the left side, we have our bank account, right? So for example, you have your Bank of America, Chase, wherever you park your cash. So let's say you have 10 grand here, okay? So you have 10 grand there that's available cash plus overdraft. You don't have to do that. And right in the middle are the different credit cards that you use. So for example, if you have a 0%, which you should have and take advantage of, I've actually made a video about this. So if you want to check it out, it's the best 3 business credit cards that you can use. Definitely take advantage of the 0%. So we have the Amex Blue Cash here, Ink Cash, for example. And these are the credit card limits that the bank had approved you. Of course, it's going to vary depending on your approval. But again, for the example here, let's say we charge here $8,000, right? We bought a bunch of inventory and here, 5,000. I'm just putting random numbers here. So you can see it totals out everything versus the limit. So this is what allows us, and we can tell like, okay, we have 35,000 that we can spend in our limit, but we've only spent 13. It kind of gives us an idea we have a lot of room that we can use in order to purchase inventory at a glance. So this is why this template is very useful because you can adapt and change to it. Now you have the different charge cards here as well. So we have the gold, plum, whatever you may have, right? But you can also add different credit cards. So I'm just showing you an example of what it would look like. Same thing total here. The charge cards don't have a limit because they are a charge card. You do have to pay those in full each month, so just keep in mind. And down here, we added another tab for supplier accounts. So if you have like a term, a net term in terms of working with a supplier. So we have Uline here, for example, they have a $2,000 limit. So let's say we bought some supplies at Uline, so let's just put 500 bucks there, okay? Now that totals everything. And on the right side of the sheet here, total balance, this is the reserves or payout that we're gonna anticipate to get from Amazon. So let's say we are getting what we have here, 13 grand, right? So we know we have 13 grand sitting in Amazon's reserves, but we know they're gonna disperse this week here 4,500. So what this allows us to see everything here, and if we scroll down, it gives us a timeline of, in terms of our weekly planner, this is how we can really stay organized, but doing minimal work is the template will do everything. It's pretty much a plug and play. Then down here at the bottom, this is my favorite because it allows to know how much we can spend without getting in the red. So for example, here, let's say we go crazy and we found a bunch of leads for 60,000, then it's gonna let me know, hey, you're spending too much of what you're gonna get. you know, the net difference here is 19,000, right? So let's say, but we only spent, for example, 30 grand. Okay, so we're still good there. So our goal is to get this net difference as close as possible, not getting to the red. So this is why this template like this is super useful in terms of managing cash flows. Another thing is learning how to budget and forecast. You know, a classic example of this is Q4. We know Q4 is the busiest time of year. That's where everyone pretty much shops. You got Black Friday, you got Christmas. That time is the biggest time of the year to make money. So we have to anticipate that as a business owner. And that's one thing I've learned. Each year is just getting earlier and earlier. And the challenge is not just about having the cash flow, but also getting your inventory ahead of time in terms of being in Amazon's warehouse ready to be purchased, because there's going to be delays. So knowing that, anticipating that, we got to start prepping months ahead in order to take advantage of what's really going on in terms of Q4, because a lot of people are doing their purchases ahead of time and not just doing it at the day of or a couple weeks before the, you know, the big event in Q4. And the last part in terms of managing cash flow is actually learning how to secure funding. You know, that could be raising capital for the business to buy more inventories, or working with a lender that can allow you to get loans and funding as well. Of course, the best is the 0% credit cards we had talked about, but the other aspect is that Amazon actually lends out money on their internal seller program. So they have the Amazon lendings. I've accepted about 3 of them already, ranging from 30,000 to 70,000. However, these are short-term lending. I think the longest one I've had was for 12 months, but the most common one you'll see is between 6 to 9 months with a pretty high interest rate. So in order for you to take advantage of this, you're gonna have to do some analysis, right? What products can you purchase at a short amount of time to make sure you move them and still make money after paying the interest back? So there's another lesson and skills that you can learn in terms of learning how to read financial analysis. Second skill you will learn is mental toughness. Amazon is not all about rainbows and butterflies. All these people are showing the lifestyle of what it is like to sell on Amazon FBA, and no one actually talks about what's really going on in the back. The reality is that there's rough patches, there's obstacles you have to come in. Those are the boring parts of the business, but it is the reality. Handling rough patches in terms of your business is actually a blessing in disguise. You know, whether that's a slow month, right? You get to improve that you need to start sourcing more or finding better products, which also helps, you know, with your problem solving, because you get to learn quickly on your feet, and other things can come up, right? Like a common one that everyone has probably experienced is that the shipping and logistics, you know, when you send stuff to Amazon, an item or two might be missing, or sometimes they don't receive anything, right? Even though you might have sent the proper quantity or products in that box, but Amazon's so big, these things tend to happen. So you have to be prepared with that, stay on top of it. And, you know, if you didn't know, I used to sell Range Rover, and I was able to experience, you know, unique situational problem solvings that I was able to transfer in this Amazon FBA business. But if not, you will definitely learn the skill running your business. And the last thing in terms of mental fortitude is learning how to stay motivated, because when things are doing well, it's definitely easy, but during the challenging times, that's where you're going to be tested in order for your motivation of what it is in a long term, because that's what requires running this Amazon FBA business. It's not a quick get rich scheme. And Friedrich Nietzsche famously said, you know, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. So that's really important, that learning what your long-term goal is, whether to do this full-time, because that was for mine, financial independence, whatever it may be, that requires mental fortitude for you to keep it going, especially if it's not easy. Number 3 skill is embracing help. You know, I've always been the person that wanted to do everything, wanted to control everything. But as I've learned after doing this for 3 years, that's just going to lead to burnout. You're going to be tired. You simply can't do everything. And that's something that I've learned, you know, especially when I was trying to scale the business to over $1 million in sales. And I saw Eddie Wilson, you know, a couple weeks ago, a successful entrepreneurship, and he talks about the 5 stages of business. So the first one he talks about is the startup, right? Understandable, you do everything, you're just starting out. The second stage is perseverance. This is where you can validate that you have a proper business. And stage 3 is sustainability. You know, you have processes, you have systems built in, and this is the place that you want to be in terms of the business, because the goal of having your Amazon FBA business is so that way you can get out of it and have the business working for you, and not the other way where you are working or slave to the business. Think about Starbucks, right? Like their Starbucks Starbucks around the world, you know, in US, Mexico, Japan, wherever you go, there's Starbucks everywhere. And the beautiful thing is that they have the same process and system. So it doesn't matter where you're in the world, they can hire someone, put in that position, and learn how to make coffee, how they do it in Starbucks, right? Because they have that system and process to make the machine work and make it efficient. It might sound corporate-ish, and that's exactly the thing that I wanted to get away from, but it just makes your business run so smoothly. So that is the goal that we want to be at in terms of running it properly. So I had to create a system when I hired my first employee for help. You know, I had to teach her how to find products and leads every single day. So that was the process I had to build, you know, a document step by step that they can just follow through, and I'm basically helping them succeed because that is my job as a leader, an owner of the business, to help my employees succeed and setting them correctly in the first place. You know, also I've got help in terms of my logistics, shipping and packing. I work with 2 different prep centers, you know, so when we order products, we have it sent to the prep center, and the prep center will prep the package, you know, stickers, labels on our behalf, then they then send it to Amazon's warehouse. And guys, also we live in the AI technology, you know, take advantage of the softwares going on. Like in terms of pricing our products, we use AI repricer, we use a Be Cool. Of course, the descriptions and links going to be down below. Is that the repricer will do everything. Whether I'm asleep, they'll pretty much price competitively for us, right? We don't have to do a thing. We just set a minimum price and a maximum price. Data and product analysis, we use Keepa, we use SellerAmp. That helps us make decisions because these softwares give us the information that we need in order to see if it's going to be a good product or a bad product, and definitely not to purchase, right? Number 4 skill is how to be creative. You know, I've talked about countless of times in my previous videos on how to get creative in terms of getting a low buy cost, especially for online arbitrage. You know, you can use the gift card method, the reward method, to combine it all if there's a huge sale to get the lowest buy cost in order to maximize your profit when buying products for your Amazon FBA business. Another way that you can get creative in terms of Amazon business is like, where can you source where there's a hurdle that keeps out a lot of people already? You know, it's not just as easy to find where a simple Google, right? Whether that's your network, your connection, these are the different advantages that you can learn and how you can get creative, so that way the product you are buying, it ensures you that not many people can find it. And lastly, the creativity allows you to find a solution to whichever situation you may be in. You know, all of this culminates to all of the previous things we talked about in terms of having a rough patch, the mental fortitude, all of these things kind of help lead down to being creative in general. Number 5 is you get to learn the skill of doing whatever it takes. You know, I started with selling used college textbooks. So imagine this, I was selling Range Rover down Miami, wearing suits, right? And then I go to some thrift store, Goodwill, I'm just out there scanning books left and right, but that's what it took to get the business started, right? Like I had to do that part of work, or quote unquote, whatever you call it, sacrifice. Also, you know, working on the weekends, working after my job or at lunchtime. I remember like I'll go to UPS during lunchtime and ship the items what I had, because it was right next to my workplace. So you have to do what it takes to get the job done. And my friend Donald, his business is mostly doing retail arbitrage. He goes to drive, you know, 4 to 5 hours, whatever it takes, in order to take advantage of that opportunity where he can buy products in store where they're really discounting the products, right? It really makes it worth it for him to run his business, and that's what often requires, you know, time and driving wherever the destination is to take advantage of those. Another thing is package and shipping. You know, when you're starting out in the startup phase of the business, you're pretty much doing everything, right? I remember staying up late at one point just to get a shipment out, and that was the experience that I can remember, like whatever it took, right? We remember that pain when we first started, stickering, staying up late at night, getting confused of where the products go in which package, that I almost forget 3 years later that, you know, those are the lessons and skills that I had learned in order to be where I'm at right now. Number 6, Amazon FBA. It will force you to learn how to be a student again. You know, you get to learn how to use new softwares, new strategy, new trend, how to scale the business and life in general. It's always a continuous lesson. You know, this is why I have books books here because there's always room for improvement, and having that mentality that you're constantly seeking wisdom. And to apply this, I will be attending to a conference called Amazon United. It's not just obviously for networking, but also opportunity to grow, because there's going to be big time hitters, 8-figure Amazon sellers, right? It makes my business small, and that's what the humbling part is. Not just networking, but you also get to learn from these people, like how did they grow the business, how did they hire the employee, and other lessons that you may learn about. That's why conference and attending industry events like Amazon United is really important. And yeah, I'll be going there, and if you guys are interested, I do have a discount code that you can use below. It'll save you $50. So if you're interested, check out the link down below. And the last one, number 7, you get to learn the skill of discipline. And Mr. Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL, he always talks about discipline equals freedom. Whether that's waking up early, making sure you are working out, making sure your account health is set up improperly, this is why it's really important to have discipline instilled in your life and also for your business. There's days that you're not simply gonna feel it. There's days where I just don't want to storage, I don't want to buy products and stuff like that. But if you're constantly putting that and it almost become your daily habit, that's where to a point right now where like I wake up, the first few hours after I get my breakfast, morning routine is that I go in the computer here and start sourcing immediately. That's just what I had ingrained in me. It's almost a habit because of the disciplines I had put in early part of the business. Another thing in terms of discipline is stress management, right? Running a business is stressful, right? Whoever says running business is easy is because it's been marketed to you. In reality, of course, there's fun parts, there's stressful parts of the business. So you get to learn that in terms of how you're gonna manage it, right? For me, I've picked up tennis. I've been in love with tennis. It's been a great workout in terms of overall health body. I also go to the gym. The discipline to do those things are really important because for me to have a mental clarity, just to have that release of stress so I can focus on what I'm doing, it's really important to have that discipline in terms of your health. Like you don't want to be that business owner where you have a bunch of money, but you're fat, you're out of shape. Like what is the goal there, right? Like the goal of having a business is to enjoy a lot of things, right? Not just financially, but your health, your family, other things that you may, enjoy, whether that's traveling or buying material items that you had wanting for a long time ago, right? So there's a lot of things in terms of that. And I was very fortunate and blessed that I was able to check off. One of my bucket lists was to live in Mexico for a month. I've been wanting that for a long time, and thankfully Amazon FBA made it happen. The first 2 years I didn't take any vacation. I was putting head down in terms of the business, learning the ins and out, but then I was eventually get to take a little break, right? If I'm taking the weekends off, I'm more refreshed, motivated in terms of coming back to the business during the week. So that's definitely the work-life balance that I needed in order for me to keep on going and continue doing the business. So yeah, hope those skills are helpful to you guys when running your Amazon FBA business. If you want to learn the best products to sell on Amazon, check this video right here. And don't forget the links down below for our free Discord community for you to join. Also, we have a free newsletter that you can join. Thank you guys so much. Catch you next week.